Region North.
Welcome to Uxbridge Scugog Life. I'm your host, Jackie Hermans. So I decided to pull a card for the month of February, just to see what does the month of February hold for us. What's the main core message that we can take from this? And I'm using my Oracle of Unicorns deck, and the card that I got is magic. So we create our own magic. This might be a new concept for you, I don't know, but we create our own magic, and it really comes from based on our thoughts and remembering that we are a creator. So the month of February is about creating your own magic. Start with those thoughts and realize that you can create some awesomeness. All right, so this show is going to be great. We're going to be talking about the new CT scan that Port Perry Hospital is getting. Very exciting. We're also talking to Kelly Taylor from Windreach Farms, and Colin Clark is back from the fire department talking about different types of fire alarms, things to look out for, things you shouldn't do. So all that and more on Uxbridge Scugog Life. Keep on watching.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
When it comes to drugs, how much freedom is too much for kids?
Drugs are out there. Will my teen feel free to say no around other kids?
I didn't live drug-free when I was younger. Can I admit that to my kids?
Drugs worry me, but how can I feel free to talk about it with my kids?
Questions about drugs and kids? Drug-Free Kids Canada.
Hi, I'm Jackie Hermans, the host of Uxbridge Scugog Life, where we talk about everything going on in your community, from events to programs, new products, new businesses. If something is going down in the community, we're going to let you know about it, only on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So now with me on the show is Colin Clark of the Uxbridge Fire Department, and we're talking about smoke alarms. So Colin, you guys have a term for some alarms called nuisance alarms, and how I relate to that is definitely cooking, and the alarm goes off and I'm waving the dish towel, and then it goes off again, I'm stopped waving the dish towel, and I wouldn't be surprised if some people are taking the batteries out or taking it off the wall. So what do you recommend for things like that?
Well, it's definitely a very common issue. Like you said, it happens to me at home too. But like you mentioned, the taking the batteries out or taking them off the ceiling, it really becomes a problem because no longer do they have that protection in the home that they need in case of a real fire. So what we recommend are there's a few different options when it comes to the cooking in the kitchen. Is you can either move that alarm to a different location. So if it's your smoke alarm that's mandatory on every level of the home, you can move it further down the hallway. The only issues you're going to have are if it's a hardwired alarm, you might have to call an electrician to have the alarm moved. But there's also a very handy technology out there too, which is remote hush. So there are smoke alarms you can buy that come with a remote control that you can leave on your counter in the kitchen. And if it goes off while you're cooking or broiling something, you can simply press the button and it will silence the alarm, and it will still be a functional alarm while it's silenced.
That is awesome. I definitely need one of those, 100%. Now, how about, I've also heard that when you're taking a shower and there's certain alarms that the steam from the shower can actually set off the alarm. So should you have a different type of alarm if it's outside of a bathroom or, near?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the photoelectric alarms that will basically, when anything passes by the sensor in the alarm, whether it's steam, smoke, or even dust, can set off those alarms. So you end up with a false alarm when like we like to have really nice warm showers in the wintertime, and we open up that door and that burst of steam comes out and it can set off a photoelectric. So you can go with the ionized smoke alarms at that point if you want to change the technology so that you're not getting those false alarms. There are also smart alarms that are available that differentiate the difference between these false alarms, and they have both types of sensors in it, and they're intelligent alarms, and they can make that decision on whether it is a real fire or not. So technology is definitely working in our favor. The only issue is there's so much of it out there, and there's so many different issues that people get confused with which alarms they need. And that's why it's so great to talk to you about this today, so we can kind of clarify some of those things and see if we can steer people in the right direction so they're not taking that alarm off and putting it in a drawer so that it stops bothering them.
Now, do you have a recommendation between the battery alarms or the hardwire alarms?
So that comes down to the fire code, and the fire code is based on the year that your house was built. So they've changed over the years. Every house in Ontario is mandatory to have a working smoke alarm on every level of the home and outside the sleeping areas. When we get into more modern homes, like built after 2013, that's where you need to have hardwired alarms on every level, also in every bedroom. You also need carbon monoxide alarms outside the bedrooms and strobe lights as well. So the code has come a long way in demanding which should be in which home. But the good thing about a hardwired alarm is that they all communicate together. So when the one in the basement goes off, if you're on the third floor or the second floor, you're getting that alarm instantly that gives you that time to escape. But you can also do that if, like what I do, because I'm in an older home, and instead of bringing an electrician in and retrofitting my entire house with wires, I use wireless alarms that communicate with each other. So the ones I use not only talk to each other wirelessly, but they also send me a text message on my phone saying, hey, your smoke alarms are going off, or hey, your carbon monoxide alarms are going off. So that technology is wonderful, and it gives people with older homes that same level of protection that the more modern systems are providing.
So that type of alarm that you're talking about that communicates with each other, including the carbon monoxide, where can you pick up something like that?
So they're available really anywhere. That is the other great thing, whether it's Canadian Tire, Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, any of these places where we can purchase Canadian Tire, we can purchase these alarms, generally have a very good stock of all the different types. And I know even just here in Uxbridge, all the hardware stores and that provide smoke alarms have a great variety. And we go in and do events with them all the time. And a lot of times it's great because we can actually talk to people as they're coming into the store to buy smoke alarms, and we can actually help them figure out which ones they need. So yeah, you can really get them anywhere. It just becomes overwhelming when you get to the shelf and you see 20 different types. And a lot of people go, oh, which one should I get here? If you ever have that question and you're just completely unsure, give the fire department a call, because we're really happy to help out with that.
Okay. Call. Okay, I'm in the aisle. Can you guys come over?
Yeah.
Aisle 2, Canadian Tire.
We'll come lights and siren. We'll be there quick.
Now, we're going to have to wrap this up, but you had mentioned strobe lights too. I'm sure you're not talking about dancing. So you're just talking about lights that go on in your hall?
And it does look like a dance party when they go off. When a modern house goes off, it looks like a Christmas tree. It's unbelievable. Those alarms are intended for people who are hard of hearing, and people who are sound sleepers. A strobe will actually wake you up before a sound will, because it's amazing that intense bright light it's really almost impossible to sleep through. So for different people, depending on their needs, yeah.
Sorry, Colin, I need to wrap this up. I'm hearing impaired too, so I need to get something like that. I'm really glad you brought that up. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Jean-Marie! Fire! The neighbor's farm is on fire. It's almost to the road. It's heading for us.
Help me get the animals out of the barn.
The fire's getting closer.
I'm on the horse.
The house is burning.
Get out to the river. Get up. Bart!
His hair's on fire!
Keep their hair wet.
In May 1870, fires raged along the Saguenay River for more than 150 kilometers, destroying land and lives. One family survived by dousing themselves all night against the searing heat. One family, among the thousands whose resourcefulness and courage shaped the character of this land.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. Chewy has joined me now, as well as Rachel. I want to make sure I say it right. Agnoluzzi.
Quite close, yes, great.
Very close. Will you please say that for me?
Agnoluzzi.
Agnoluzzi. All right. Thank you so much, Rachel. So you are the CEO of the Port Perry Hospital Foundation, correct?
I am indeed. Thank you for having me today.
It is so great to have you on the show because it's so exciting, the news that you have. So you've had a campaign going on called Here For You, and you are wanting to raise money not only for a CT scan, but other essential equipment. Would you like to share with the community how that campaign has been going for you?
Absolutely. We launched the campaign publicly in March of 2021 with a goal of raising $4 million. And when we launched, we actually had just over half of that amount because we talked to some of our longtime supporters leading up to the campaign who had felt it was so important that they'd invested early. So we went out to the community to say, hey, we need to raise this money. This is what we need to do. We need to bring a CT scanner to Port Perry. We expected that public campaign would take 2 years for us to reach or surpass our $4 million. We're dealing with COVID. Businesses are fragile, families are fragile. Like COVID is really on the front burner. So for us to think that we could raise this money as quickly as a year was unprecedented. Anyway, that's exactly what happened. So people have been incredibly generous. Businesses have been incredibly generous. And by the time we were coming through our holiday season, we were so close. I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to do this by the end of our fiscal year, which is the end of March. But no, it was way better than that. So by the time we'd come through the holiday season, we'd reached our goal.
Wow. That gives me goosebumps. That is amazing. Why do you think you were able to raise it so quickly? What do you think is going on in the minds of business owners and the minds of community members? Why did that happen?
I honestly believe there's a true commitment of the North Durham community to support local healthcare. They understand the value of local healthcare. They understand that when they invest in the community just becomes stronger and greater. A project like this one, which is focused on a CT scan, right now, a patient coming into Port Perry Hospital with, a breathing difficulty, say, or signs of a stroke, having had a trauma in a car accident or another accident, where a CT scanner is the first diagnostic line so that the doctors can determine the treatment plan. Right now, we have to send that person to Oshawa or another hospital in order to have that important scan. And that scan really determines the course of treatment in many cases. Having a CT scanner at Port Perry will mean that we'll take significant time off the time from when somebody comes into the hospital till when treatment can start. In many cases, think about the stress as well as the physical pain and the threat to somebody's well-being. Think about the stress of having to, wait for an ambulance to come and pick you up and drive you down. You go into Oshawa's CT scanner, you get the results. You might stay there. You're probably coming back for treatment. Think about the length of that time. Now think about what that is if it's 2 minutes down the hall. That's the difference that this is going to make. It's truly, truly impactful. So I think it really sparked the imagination. into a community that's already so supportive of their hospital. The reason we included other equipment in the campaign was in any given year, our community supports hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment to the hospital. And think about that. If we didn't have that for a couple of years while we were raising money for the CT scanner, it would impact other areas of the hospital. So we've included some important other equipment to the campaign as well.
So what other equipment would that include?
Oh my gosh. We are looking towards a new ultrasound. Our ultrasound unit is reaching end of life. There's some surgical equipment that's already come into the hospital because it was such a top priority. Something called a sonocyte ultrasound, which is used for the placement of nerve blocks. I'm checking my notes here because I'm not the medicine person. Yeah. I'm not the physician. A laparoscopic tower, which is for minimally invasive surgeries needed updating. Technology like that changes so fast. Think about the camera on your phone and how fast that changes. Now think about how fast, how much photography or how much the imaging is upgraded over the last 5 years. So equipment like that needs to be replaced and upgraded as you can.
So when will that CT scan, just going back to that really briefly, when will that be in the hospital?
So it'll be in this year for sure. The goal is to have it in mid-year. We are, just like everybody else, there's supply chain issues and all sorts of things in medicine, the same as there is in everything right now, still related to the impact of COVID. So it's really, really important to have a little bit more patience than we otherwise would, but it will be in this year for sure, hopefully mid-year.
Awesome. Very exciting. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to have you on the show. We'll be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
Thank you so much.
It's about sharing and caring. It's about doing and belonging. It's about living life to its fullest. And it's about laughing out loud. We are L'Arche Canada, and we're about witnessing and sharing the gifts of all people. Learn more about us today.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Van Bilsen for Photos and Travel, where we bring the world to your doorstep. Traveling during this pandemic is virtually at a standstill. However, thanks to Rogers and YouTube, my new show, Photos and Travel, is heading into its second season. Join me for a new episode every month when we get together and explore exotic locales around the world. Check local listings for dates and times, or search Jonathan Van Bilsen's Photos and Travel on YouTube.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So I have Kelly Taylor on the line with us over Zoom from Wind Reach Farms. And Kelly Taylor is the Volunteer and Operations Manager. And I understand you've worked there for 17 years.
Yes, I've been here for quite a while. It's a wonderful place to work.
Awesome. Well, I want to know more about it. So how would you best summarize what Wind Reach Farms do?
We're a very unique farm here in the Durham region. We are 105 acres. We deal a lot with the special needs population, so all of our programs are accessible. So that's who we really cater to. We've got lots of various programs that we do on the farm. We have probably about 120 animals on the farm side, everything from cows, donkeys, lots of sheep, goats, chickens, bunnies, rabbits, guinea pigs, and we've got about 12 horses that we use in our therapeutic riding program. So lots of property, lots of animals, and a pretty small staff. So we rely a lot on volunteers here.
Oh, wow. You're actually giving me goosebumps as you were talking about everything that you have to offer there. It sounds wonderful. I understand you have just been successful in receiving a grant. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and what the money is going to go towards?
Sure. We received some generous funding from the Ontario Trillium Foundation to construct a state-of-the-art greenhouse. So we're very excited. The greenhouse is out a little further back from me. Our future plans envision having a horticulture center complete with our greenhouse. We have a hoop house that's located right beside the greenhouse with a classroom, extensive gardens, and we're going to do some therapeutic and production purposes, flower farm, vegetable gardens, herb gardens, things that are going to enable our farm to supplement our funding through some product sales. So we're hoping to do some of that as well. And again, as with most of our programs, it's a therapeutic horticulture program geared to people with special needs that focuses on cognitive, physical, and emotional disabilities.
Now, you had mentioned a hoop house. I have no idea what that is. Can you?
Well, neither do I really, but I can tell you what it looks like. It looks sort of like our greenhouse, except it's smaller. It's just so the sun can get in. We actually have plants in there right now, so they're being watered and kept alive. And on a sunny day, it can be quite warm inside there. So it really does insulate and keep the heat inside to keep our plants alive.
Okay, so now I'm picturing it like the
Yes.
the rods that are going like this.
That's right.
And then the covering over top. Okay, gotcha. So you were saying your program heavily relies on volunteers, and you being the volunteer manager, I'm sure you know a whole lot about what you need in regards to volunteers, and maybe give us an idea of what volunteers might be helping out with.
Sure. In that particular program, the staff that we have are experienced horticulture therapy practitioners. So we use placement students. So sometimes they could be high school, college, university, graduate students. We're also working with Fleming College in their CICE program. So have some co-op or placement students in helping us run our programs. We've applied for funding for summer students, and as well as the special needs population. That program also deals with seniors. So, our volunteers have to be at least 14 years of age, willing to commit about 10 hours a month over the course of a year. So about 100 hours, and just available to help us in any of our programs, morning, afternoon. We have some evening programs and Saturdays as well.
Awesome. So I also understand you have some events coming up, which no doubt volunteers assist you with. You have an event coming up. Is it the end of April? Do you want to tell us about that?
Sure. We're in the early planning stages, but we have secured our sheep shearer. So every year since I've been here, we've been doing sheep shearing. Our sheep need to get their spring haircut. We like to do it when it starts to warm up a little bit. So end of April is when we're doing it. Unfortunately, due to COVID, the last 2 years, we haven't been able to have the general public or people on site. We've just had a handful of staff and volunteers helping with our sheep shearing, but we'll have about just over 20 sheep that will get sheared. And hopefully, we're hopeful this year that we can actually invite the general public to come out and learn a little bit about sheep shearing and see our sheep shearer in progress and watch the sheep get their haircuts, as well as have different other activities on the farm going on.
Oh, fabulous. Now, do you use the wool and send it off to be turned into yarn?
Yeah. Yes and no. We do use the wool for sure, but we have a wonderful group of wool volunteers. So they process the wool. So they're pretty much dealing with the wool for the whole year, from washing it. It's a huge process. I'm going to try to get most of the steps. They wash it about 3 or 4 times because they have to get rid of all the dirt and bugs and stuff that might be in there. They get rid of all the yucky parts anyways. Wash it, then they got to dry it. They might dye it different colors using some natural dyes, plant dyes, or they might want some more vibrant colors using Kool-Aid. Then they can card it, tease it, get rid of any more bits of dirt. And many of our volunteers are able to spin the wool as well. So they can spin it into yarn, and then they can make various products with it as well.
Oh, that's amazing. And I understand you also have a summer program. We don't have much time left, but if you want to give an idea of what you have for summer camps.
Sure. Our summer camp is called Acres of Fun, and it's an amazing day camp program that runs Monday to Friday, like a weekly program from 9 till 4 for kids age 6 to 13. And the great thing about this camp is it's an integrated camp. So not only do we have kids with special needs, we have kids who are able-bodied. So those families that have kids that can come to camp can send their children together and come to our day camp and enjoy the farm while they're here.
Fabulous. And what is your website to direct people to?
It's windreachfarm.org.
Beautiful. Kelly, thank you so much. It was so wonderful to have you on the show. Let us know when there's something else that you want to promote. We will be right back with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life.
It was my daughter's birthday. She was blowing out the candles on her cake when we heard coming from the TV. So we stopped and listened, and it helped us get to safety. That's why when I think of my daughter's birthday, because now she gets to keep having them.
Think it's too late to become more fit? Think again. I'm personal trainer Karen Ross, and my mission is to help you take control and find your way back to health and wellness. Tune in to A Little Bit Fit with me, Karen Ross, here on Rogers TV.
Hello, Glenn Ward here for Knights of Columbus TV Bingo. Every Tuesday at 7 o'clock, right here on Rogers TV, your chance to win up to $5,000 with all proceeds going to local charities. Come play Knights of Columbus TV Bingo right here on Rogers TV.
Welcome back to Uxbridge Scugog Life. So thank you so much for our guests on the show. Super excited about the CT scan now, super close. So we're in Port Perry, and thank you to the community and the businesses that have helped to raise that money for that CT scan, as well as the other essential services. And Colin Clark, always great to have him on the show. Make sure that your batteries are in your fire alarms. And very exciting, I hope to get to that sheep shearing event at Winreach Farms. We got this, I pulled this magic card before, so it's about you dreaming big this month. What do you want to create in your life? We have the ability to be able to create that. Let's create some magic in our lives. So if you want to be on the show, send us an email, uxbridgescugoglife@rci.rogers.com, and let us know. We'll be back next week with more on Uxbridge Scugog Life. Bye.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Behold Emily Carr, painter, about to encounter the force that will consume her life.
How tightly they sealed their secrets from me, humble and pleading before the great trees, awaiting the invitation from the Spirit to come meet me halfway. Nothing is still now, everything is alive. At last, I knew I must see through the eye of the totem itself, the mythic eye